Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome. This is the umpteenth, I've lost track, I've been doing it for a year now, I think, event in which I have a guest to interview and to talk about, and the audience gets an opportunity to ask questions too. So, first of all, I want to apologize because some idiot producer, me, scheduled the Global Atheist News for 8:30, which is the time this is supposed to go out. So it was going to overrun, but I managed to spot the mistake and reschedule it for 8:15, but nevertheless, we are late. So hearty apologizes from me for that mistake. There's just too many things to get wrong, and I'm not capable. That's my excuse anyway. Enough of that. This week's guest is a fantastic pirate. It's Dread Pirate Higgs, who is the leader of a Pastafarian church in British Columbia. Here he is.
Ahoy there.
How the devil are you, Dread?
I'm doing well, very well, thank you.
Good.
I can't wear this Tricon all the time simply because the headset drops behind.
Oh, right. Okay, well, we've seen it, and we've got some other rather great pictures of you, too, that you sent me, with twirly moustaches.
Arr.
There's quite a lot of work. Do you use wax?
Yeah, I have wax, but generally I use dental floss.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just circle it up and then put the bead on and then remove the...
Yeah. I've never indulged in that. As you can see, I've got my own little beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is quite a recent addition, actually.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I've been working on this since about 2016, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, I was clean shaven for many years. I don't know, 15, 18 years, having previously had a full beard. But then I went clean shaven, and more recently, after following lockdown, I decided to go back to the little goatee.
Sure.
Which seems to be quite a fashionable item now.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, it makes you look distinguished.
Indeed. Yes. It gives people a false impression that I'm white.
Right on.
Yeah. Anyway, this is our opportunity to find out about you in particular and Pastafarianism in general.
Perfect.
So, will you start by telling us how the Dread Pirate Higgs got to be the Dread Pirate that he is today?
Well, so back in 2015, I got my certificate of ordination in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yep.
There you can see it there. And so I set about to get my driver's license renewed at the local driver licensing office. And I went there wearing a colander and had been previously made aware of an attempt by a fellow and who's now a friend of mine, Obi Canule, who made quite a splash in the news back in 2014. In his attempt to be photographed in that way. And of course, the fight's been on ever since. They say that the accommodations that they are affording persons of other religions are not similarly afforded to those groups that satirize religion, thinking that we're just out to make fun of people. And of course, that's not how I see it. So it's been an on and off again struggle here over the years. I have my firearms license, which is a federal license, which is with me depicted in my tricorn. And I'm also a security license to security person. And that also shows me in my with my tricorn. So
excellent.
Or not security, sorry. I'm a marriage commissioner. And that photograph has, yeah.
Ah, so and that's interesting. Tell me, is this for commissioning pirate marriages, Pastafarian marriages, or some other denomination?
It's actually the non-denominational. There's no. This is the secular version. So this is.
Yes.
I was given an appointment by the Department of Vital Statistics. You can see that there.
Yes, yes.
So I have a 10-year term or appointment in order to perform marriages of a secular nature. So
that would be like the humanists that we have. We have humanist marriages here,
right?
Yes.
And I know that the BC Humanists Association has been looking to be allowed to conduct marriages through that organization. They've so far been denied. But the good thing about my appointment is that it really is up to the marriage participants how they would like to have their marriage conducted. So I did have one where I was wearing my tricorn and my pirate regalia, and that's the way they wanted it done. So it was nice.
Well, quite right too. You should be able to have the marriage you want to have,
right?
Or not if you don't want to get married.
Exactly, right. And I'm not. So,
well, I've been in and out of marriages.
Likewise.
Yes, and in some relations that were never, what would be the word, ratified, perhaps. Anyway, that's enough of that. I don't want to reveal too much. This is all personal secret stuff. So I was really trying to find out before 2015. I mean, if that was when you started, you'd only be 6 now, wouldn't you? So can we get some more background?
Well, I was raised a Roman Catholic. My first 2 years in school were conducted where nuns, like it was I guess a Catholic school. We'd go there for the day and they'd put us down for a nap in the big common room. My memories are kind of sparse about that, but I do recall at one point they pulled me out of regular class and would sit me in an office where I could see all the other kids, but they were giving me, the next level of instruction, like in, spelling or whatever. But I could see all those other kids having fun, and it was a tough thing to have to, be treated special, but not. Yeah, it was very strange because they were trying to raise me up to the next level. But not taking me fully out of the context of where everyone else was having a good time. So it felt like a punishment.
Yes. Especially being allowed to see all the fun going on through a window. That's a big giveaway, isn't it? Yeah. So this wasn't Kamloops school, I hope.
No. I was born in Peterborough, and my first few years were actually in Sarnia, Ontario. So that's where that was.
Because that was a horrifying discovery in
of course.
And Roman Catholic too.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch I could likely say about that.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to make the program too grim.
Yes, of course. But I was overhearing your last podcast there, and yes, there should be a reckoning of the Catholic Church. This should not just be put on the Canadian government or Caucasians in general as colonialists. This is a problem with the church, and that's who should be held accountable. That's my point of view, anyway.
Well, that's right. I mean, the Pope has only recently altered canonical law so that it's become, for the first time, illegal in Roman Catholic sense to rape an adult.
Right.
Previously, it was illegal to rape children, and that's only a recent thing. They've only introduced that fairly recently. but you could still get away with raping an adult.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's so medieval.
Yeah,
Really.
he's made a slight improvement, and we're supposed to be grateful.
Yeah.
But what happened after the years in the Roman Catholic
Well,
school?
you know, my
Did you
mom.
adopt that faith?
Hmm?
Did you adopt that faith, or?
Yeah, I went through catechism, and you know, I did my thing where you recite part of the Bible and a confirmation. I was baptized and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my parents split up, and they just got too busy doing stuff, so we didn't actually regularly attend church anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, there was always kind of that. I mean, it's so ingrained in people when they're young, right? That it feels like there's a missing piece when, of course, they've just manufactured a longing, right? So, of course, you know, I wavered between faith and non-faith for well into my 30s.
Really?
At least my 30s, yeah. Because I think it was after my first wife, we divorced or split up, that I'd actually sought to actually join the church as a minister.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
And they were going to try, and the priest I was working with, he was actually trying to find a way where the church would annul the marriage, so that I could, because of course you can't be divorced because it's against the church law.
You can't be married, can you? You've got, as a priest, you have to be a celibate individual.
Yeah. So
you have to be married.
Yeah. So I did that. You know, I kind of followed that path for a year, and then strangely enough, and ironically, based on your last comment there, there were some inappropriate approaches made by that particular priest, which then just shut the whole thing down. And I just said, no, not for me. Anyway.
Yeah. I suppose he thought you were fair game being in the same business, I suppose.
Well, like you say, it's just now illegal to not rape an adult. So I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done for surviving and escaping. Tell me about that. How did you get out? What was it, apart from that approach, what was it turned your mind away from belief?
Oh, well, you know, I did go, like, I kind of went into sort of hermetics, like magic, white magic, you know, I kind of a Wiccan thing. Just doesn't, again, is trying to fulfill what I saw as a whole in my being, with something, you know, some superpower that, you know, I could be in contact with and have control over, and you manipulate not only myself, but others to my will, sort of thing, which is really what all religion is about. So I did that for a good long time. It wasn't until I moved to Grand Forks here, I really started to, I was doing a lot of reading lots of, science and science related books. I don't think I picked up a fiction in probably 12 years, just because I understand that, people can read about a maximum of 10,000 books. So I'm choosing carefully. As it were. So really, I really like learning things, and so that's and the more I learned, of course, the more I was drawn sort of into a skeptical frame of mind, and then applying that to everything, all my beliefs, and then discovering, well, you know, there's some aspects of the universe that are certainly inscrutable, and to which, you know, Pastafarianism is an appeal, But largely, I consider myself a skeptic. And there's demand evidence and think
Yes,
critically.
that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're right in that people of a certain mindset, and I regard you as a kindred spirit here, we find non-fiction information as entertaining
Right.
as people seem to find narratives.
Right. Yeah. And absolutely 100%. I have some favorite authors that I had read in the past, like Dune and Frank Herbert, and which are a little more cerebral. Isaac Asimov and Robert A. Heinlein. So science fiction was really a thing for me growing up. But I just find the science fact is really much more captivating to me now.
Yes, that's right. Why would you want stuff that's been made up when you could find out about the reality of things?
For sure.
This is what puzzles me. A lot of theists say something like, atheists have got no sense of wonder, or they can't be amazed, or what would be the godly word? The godly word would be awe. They can't experience awe.
Right.
Well,
and that's ridiculous, of course.
Utterly. Yes. I mean, when you find out that the stars are that far away, hundreds of light years or more, then who could not be amazed by that?
Yeah. Billions of light years, in fact.
Some of them, yes. 13.8. Yeah. As far as we can see.
As far as we can see.
Anything further than that, the light hasn't reached us yet.
Correct. Yeah. Well, but of course the CMB, the cosmic microwave background, is sort of what they see as the limit of the visible universe.
Yes, that's right. It is. We have to define it as the visible universe, and that means as seen from here, from planet Earth. And if one day we can travel a great distance away from here, would we be looking at a different circle of the universe? Would the visible universe have moved to the left a bit?
Right. Well, and that puzzled me for a long time. Just the idea of an expanding universe, and that all objects are moving from all other objects at certain rates, the rate of inflation. And then I was in an astronomy class in college, and my professor likened it to a loaf of raisin bread.
Yeah.
That's just rising. So from the perspective of any raisin in that loaf, all other raisins are moving away from it.
Further, yes.
And that's how we explain that there is no actual center to the universe. It's all moving away from each other. Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool concept.
One speculation is that it might be more shaped like a donut.
It might be what?
Shaped like a donut.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
But
a torus. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. This is in the realms of speculation now.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, tell me about Pastafarianism. So I was going to ask you how you escaped. What was it that turned you away from Roman Catholicism?
Well, it was a gradual thing. I mean, the Catholic thing, that was pretty clear. I got a sense that he was living a double life. Clearly he was.
Yes.
And not only sort of behaviorally, but also he had two sets of books. And he was caught. Two different accounting things going on. And it became suddenly very starkly obvious that this was not about a relationship with God. It was it's a money machine, essentially.
Yes.
And it's a business. Absolutely. Yeah. So that getting away from the Catholic Church, that was really a clear-cut thing. But getting away from belief, it took a lot longer. And I've certainly had lots of conversations with other people about this, and that, we are all very fond of our beliefs.
Yeah.
And so we do lots of things and engage a lot of logical fallacies in order to sustain them or build them up. And so, you can't I don't think anybody wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I don't believe in God anymore.
Well, I've spoken to one or two who did it just like that. But anyway, did you lose everything? Because some people, when they decide they're not going to be part of a religion, they lose their family, their friends, their job. They find it difficult to get accommodation. It can be a disaster.
Sure.
I hope that wasn't what you experienced.
No, I mean, fortunately, I live in this rather small, tight-knit community, and there are certainly lots of folks who are religious and of different denominations. But essentially, when I came out Pastafarian. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there are elements of irreverence and satire and parody and all the rest of it. But I think there's enough to it that people can take me somewhat seriously, knowing that there's a deeper aspect to this whole thing. It can't be just taken on the very superficial level that we're just out there as pirates in a pirate ship, but that we embody a deeper and more closely held sort of system of beliefs, which can vary from person to person, from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Well, tell me about those beliefs. What are the principles and values or tenets of Pastafarianism?
Well, so Pastafarians believe in it's the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And we celebrate our noodly lord, Bob.
Yes.
And really, it's an embodiment, sort of like Shiva would be, or the elephant-headed god, where it just embodies or represents or is an avatar for those inscrutable aspects of our universe that we don't yet have answers for. And we propose that this is as likely an explanation as any other religion out there has put forward so far as an answer to why we're here and what it's all about.
So, is there a scripture?
There is. And it is the Gospel of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And it was written by Bobby Henderson. Bobby Henderson is our prophet. And it was back in 2004 in the Kansas State School Board that he had proposed that alongside intelligent design being taught in science class, that they should also share time with the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster as being equal explanations for all that stuff.
He's the guy who issues the certificates too, isn't he?
That's correct, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to what's in that book. Tell me about the scripture. Does it explain the beginning of things, for example?
Well, absolutely. So the Flying Spaghetti Monster, in a drunken stupor, just woke up one morning and said, "You know what? I think I'm going to make myself a mountain, and I'm going to put a midget there, and there's going to be a couple of trees, and that the noodly appendages are what accounts for gravity, because that's what keeps us on the surface of the Earth, is the invisible noodly appendages."
Right.
Yeah. At in the afterlife, we look forward to a beer volcano and a stripper factory. And of course, that's strippers of all sexes. It's not exploitation.
I'm pleased to hear that there is an afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. Is there a hell as well, or is it all heaven?
There is a hell, yes, for those that have earned it. There's the beer volcano is still there, but it's stale beer, and the strippers have STDs.
Well, there's my mind is boggling. So what is the Pastafarian attitude towards marriage and adultery? And I mean, you've told me that you've conducted a marriage ceremony, but do you have disapproval of certain types of sexual behavior?
No, as long as you're two consenting adults, have at it. You know, as long as you're not causing pain or unwelcome pain or discomfort to someone, let her rip.
Well, that sounds very enlightened.
Well, you know, we actually take our governance from sort of the pirate age, which was far more democratic than anybody on the surface would be aware of.
Really?
And oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, pirates in.
I know the pirates elected their leader, but
correct.
Surely there was a lot of inflicting of pain. Cat o' nine tails.
Of course, but I mean we're enlightened pirates, right? So I mean we take our governance model from them. You know, the captain has an equal share in the bounty for the booty or whatever, and that's often people who joined the pirate ranks were escaped slaves or you know gotten out of indentured servitude or whatnot and wanted to make it on their own, and so joining a band of folks that were treated each other with respect. Everyone pulled their own weight and everyone got a share according to their works. That's a pretty good system of governance when you consider what was going on in the rest of the world politically. So
yes, indeed, yes. Well, of course, some of the early English pirates. I'm not sure. I don't think that the British nation had been formed by then. Certainly not the United Kingdom, but some of the early English pirates were encouraged by Queen Elizabeth I, I think, to go out and get what plunder they could.
Right. At the expense of everyone but them, right? Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yes. This was good sport in those days.
Right. Yeah, just like hunting foxes.
Yes. So when you raise little pirates, do they have to be inducted into Pastafarianism? Is there a ceremony, a baptism or something?
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's a completely voluntary thing, and it's up to the imagination really of the people who are participating in it. I know in New Zealand they have some fairly elaborate baptism. You know, you're dipped in sauce, or it's actually pretty cool, and the variation around the world, like I say, is really at the limits of people's imaginations around this whole thing.
So would that be bolognese or...
Exactly right? Yeah.
There's no circumcision, I hope. Nothing like that.
No, that genital mutilation stuff, man, put that away already. Yeah.
Leave that behind, definitely.
Yeah, we don't mind mutilating pasta, but leave people's bodies alone.
Now, why is there a connection between pirates and pasta?
Well, pirates, are the chosen people of the flying spaghetti monster. Just like Jews are the favorite people of, or the favorite people of Yahweh. Yeah, so right. We're just their crew, or his crew.
And you're sailing on your way to the volcano with the beer.
That's right. Eventually.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you do in your role as a leader of a church? Do you hold services?
Yep. In fact, last night, so we hold a a monthly, what we call it's a Pastafarians. And that's where, local members come together to have a feast and drink some grog and sing some shanties. And, we have our benediction and all the rest of it. So it's our monthly religious ceremony service.
Mm-hmm. Is there a special day, a day of the week that you recognize?
So Fridays are our Sabbath. The equivalent of our Sabbath, and every third Friday is that's when we hold the Pastafarians.
Right. So this might be a suitable moment to play your 12 days of the Pastafarians.
Okay, are you just doing the end bit or the whole thing? Because it's a pretty long song.
I could spin to the end, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do that then. Let's get it up first of all.
Sure.
Right, and push it up to, where to go? Here we go. Right, play.
9 cups of pasta, 8 cups of sauce,
7 wenches wenching,
6 buccaneers, 5 cannonballs, 4 bucks of crock, 3 scurvy ghosts,
2 parrots squawking,
and a pirate with a peg leg.
I did get it.
Because that could be the end.
So it was a lot of fun. Me and a friend had, like I said, we had just taken the words and rewritten around our theme, and then folks from around the world in the Pastafarian community stepped up to take a day and sing their song and tape themselves, and then I threw it together on OBS Streamlab thing there and got her done.
Brilliant. And then you fell off your peg leg.
And then I fell off my peg leg. Yeah, a painted broomstick.
Right. Yeah. See, that's what I was wondering, whether in the confirmation ceremony, whether you made your children or teenagers practice with a peg leg or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because my wife is actually a Mennonite, and the children that I'm not their father, but I helped raise them in their later years. Yeah. We have 3 of them, and 2 of them are very, very staunchly religious. So sometimes there can be tension around the home with respect to what I do as a Pastafarian, how I'm out in the community, and the fuss I make with the Supreme Court and Human Rights Tribunal and ICBC and all the rest of it, and the tension that I draw to myself on account of that. My wife is very conservative, but she puts up with me so far.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, thanks.
With your past experience of the Roman Catholic Church, presumably you don't, in your role as a leader of a church in British Columbia near the American border, you don't style yourself a priest, but I imagine that the title would be a pastor of Pastafarianism.
Yeah, or a minestrone.
Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah. So I don't, every Friday I am in town, I'm out in public, and I wear my tricorn. And people, know me as a Pastafarian. I don't get any rotten tomatoes, thrown at me or anything like that. We have a float which we built. Is in the shape of a pirate ship. We call it the SS Quab. You actually saw it in the video there. So we take that out for every opportunity. There's a parade, like upcoming
Yes.
Canada Day, July
Yes.
1st. We were registered to bring it out in the parade. So, people have come to just accept that we're a bunch of kooky folks that like to dress up as pirates.
Yes.
And like I say, they don't, for the most part, appreciate what the deeper underlying root of all this is. But certainly when I am asked by someone that, takes a few minutes to query me on this, they come away with, a little more enlightenment. They
Yes.
understand. They go, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I spoke to a Californian comedian one time who he's an atheist comedian.
Okay.
And which is fine along the coast, and the coast of California is very enlightened. And trouble is, you've only got to step inland by a few miles to the mountains there, and you're in a very rural area where there's really deeply fundamentalist people. So, but he bravely goes and does his comedy act in these locations, and he justifies it by saying, "Well, you're showing people that an atheist is not something weird. He's a normal bloke, and he's got a sense of humor, and that's a big revelation for them.
I can imagine.
They've been raised to think hateful things about atheists.
Of course, like eating babies and stuff like that.
Yes, indeed. Yes. We've completely run out of babies. We must restock the fridge.
That's right. Yeah.
So, you don't have any nasty views about adultery or abortion or contraception, but probably about rape.
Rape's out. Forget it.
Yeah.
Again, back to my statement there about two consenting adults, or two or more consenting adults for that matter. You got to be consenting. All the stories that, of course, are now even coming out more so again with this residential school stuff. It's hideous. It's just absolutely depraved. True. I mean, if sin is a thing, that's sin. That is sin without question. So, we have very dim views on that. Yeah.
Well, sin is a peculiarly religious thing, isn't it? It doesn't exist outside of a religion.
Of course. Yeah.
So, what about bringing up the youngsters? So you talked about your family. Do you offer any pirate schools for the, indoctrinating?
Not yet, but we are actually working at becoming a national charitable religious organization under the Canadian Revenue Agency. So that's to, lend some credibility and, authenticity to our organization, and to square it up against other organizations that would not have us, benefit from the same sorts of things as they do. And one of them simply is being able to be photographed with your religious headgear on.
Yes. Well, of course.
Yeah.
Why not? Because we even, in this country at least, we even permit male members of the Sikh religion to wear their turban at work.
Right. Yeah. And they do that here on motorcycles in place of a helmet. Police officers. I don't know.
But you wouldn't be permitted to do that in some parts of the world where it's taken as a step too far to publicly display a symbol of your faith, especially if you work for the government and do it while in the hours of employ.
Right. And I think, because in some cases, of course, it flies in the face of safety that those countries that do draw a line and say, look, no. We get that you're religious. We get that you have a right to, signal yourself as a member of your community. There's a point at which the risk to your health, riding motorcycles with a turban, the risk outweighs the benefit you derive from expressing yourself that way. It's just, it's like, working around a construction site. If you're required to wear a hard hat, sorry, a turban is not a hard hat, no matter how you look at it, right?
Right.
But of course, other people argue the other way. So,
Mm.
of course, I would not wear a tricorn or a colander when a more fitting piece of headgear, such as a helmet or a hard hat, is more appropriate. So, while we may have peculiar beliefs, we are not absent of reason.
Yes. You one of your beliefs is in health and safety.
Yes. A healthy crew is a good crew. That's what we say.
Yes, indeed. But the issue in some places is if you're employed by the government, because if you then wear a symbol of some affiliation to a faith, then in fact the government is sort of endorsing you.
Right. And this is what's going on in Quebec. So Quebec, anyone in the government employ is, the law was written that you can't be wearing overt symbols of your faith, even as a cross or anything else for that matter, including burqas and turbans and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think they've got a similar issue going on in France.
Okay.
Has a link to Quebec, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's, I deal with, I've got a relationship here with the BC Humanist Association. And, there's challenges around governments making that kind of a decree. And, there's good arguments on both sides of that fence, right? So it's hard to say how it's going to play out in the end, but it's certainly an interesting battle to watch.
Yes, the issue is about whether you're infringing people's freedom, isn't it?
Right.
But
Yep.
you're not outside of work hours. They're free to do what they like in their own time. It's just that while they're being your policeman, your teacher or whatever, then they can't endorse any particular faith. It's no different from expecting, as a policeman, say, to be able to get away with McDonald's written on the side of your uniform.
Right.
You wouldn't get away with that.
And, it's interesting. I work as a security for movie sets here down on the coast. And if I'm at a shift on Friday, I wear my tricorn. Right alongside, a buddy of mine who's wearing his turban. It's just, it's a display. It's a display of what I identify as. So.
That's Dressed Down Friday, of course, isn't it? In the movie world where that sort of thing started, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that one, but you should put it in the chat so I can see it.
Yeah, well, I'd have to research it a bit more, I think, before I've got anything to. But I do know that I think it actually was on the east coast of America that some of the larger organizations, the larger businesses, decided that they'd do this sort of bonding thing with their employees. I suppose it was a sort of human resources effort. Which gave them permission to come as they liked, not because they were all busily stuffed shirts with ties and regulation suits and trousers.
Oh, I see what you're referring to. Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood you. So you said Dressed Down Fridays, like where bank tellers and stuff come in jeans and t-shirts and that kind of stuff. Right, exactly. Right. Gotcha.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of world you're moving in when you're doing your security business.
Yeah. I don't know if I can talk about my Supreme Court stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I had applied to because I had been refused by ICBC to wear my religious headgear. I had filed a complaint with the Human Rights Tribunal based on religious discrimination, and they wouldn't even hear it. They just wrote back and said, "You're a member of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. You mock other religions. Go away." And I was like, "What? The Human Rights Tribunal? I mean,
Yes.
come on now." So anyway, I took them to the Supreme Court, and that was just in February this year. And after listening to arguments, the judge just says, "Yeah, well, you kind of admitted that you do satirize other religions, and so I don't find anything patently unreasonable in the tribunal's decision not to hear your case. Go away." And so it's kind of like they didn't even bother listening to the arguments. And I'd spent a long time and with other people consulting on developing some very sound arguments, and they were just dismissed out of hand. So in consultation with a retired lawyer who's hoping to connect me with someone willing to take this on pro bono, we are looking to escalate this to the federal level. And part of that is in applying, like I said earlier, to these Canada Revenue Agency as a charitable religious organization. And if they let us in, we're golden. If they don't let us in, we go to court. And then it draws attention to, because on a provincial level, they can't deal with charter issues, but on the federal level, they can. And the charter is very clear under 2A about the ability of people and the right of people to express their own religious beliefs.
And if you got registered as a charity, would you then be tax-free?
Yeah. Yeah, we would be afforded the same privileges as other religious organizations. Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course, all the accounting and all that stuff still has to, meet muster, and we have to go through audits and all that kind of stuff. But there is enough interest in the Canadians I know that are a part of our Facebook group that are willing to take on these jobs and collectively, like a crew, get this thing done.
Wow, fantastic. Good. More power to your elbow.
Thank you.
Or whatever the appropriate pirate expression is.
More polish to the boots, eh?
Yeah, or sharper blade to your cutlass. Or
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
I've also had the support with Ian Bushfield. He's the executive director for the BC Humanist Association, and he's expressed a sort of a tacit commitment of their association if we actually take this to the Supreme Court of Canada. So they would appear as a friend of the court in support of our cause, and we're also looking at the Civil Rights Association as well, saying that they'd toss in behind us in support of our petition. So.
Brilliant. Well, listen, as you know, I also do a show called Global Atheist News.
Yes.
And I'm always looking for items of interest to demonstrate how religion has impacted humanity in the preceding week.
Okay.
And it's mostly bad news, I'm afraid, because a lot of horrendous things are done in the name of religion, particularly in countries like Nigeria and Pakistan. And not much comes out of Saudi Arabia, but sometimes I get little snippets of items of news that have happened in there. So what I'm going to say is, can you keep me up to date? Because I'd love to be
absolutely.
able
to. I'm going to fill you in on something that we're actually putting together. I had an idea to coordinate with Pastafarians and the leaders of churches around the world to put together sort of like a plea. You know, Greta Thunberg, she had gone to the UN with her thing there. So I was, what I'm trying to do is organize a meeting around developing what we would call world truce. So instead of the pursuit of world peace, which is, you know, a bit far-fetched given the circumstances of the world, that maybe we could just start with world truce. And so we were going to start with World Truce 2021, which on November 20th and 21st, everyone puts their arms down.
Wow.
And making an appeal to the UN on that basis and just say, look, let's give it a couple days.
Yeah.
Take a 24-hour rest. And, you know, we work out the time zone and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, World Truce 2021. And then if it got some steam, we do World Truce 2022. So now it's between the 20th and the 22nd of November. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something we're actually we're having. So we have what's called the International Pastafarians Captains Conclave. And so that's the leader of the various churches around the world. Many of them, not all of them, certainly. But so we're having a meeting next Saturday to actually discuss details and who the core writing team will be and who will represent Pastafarians in general to the UN if we can get in there.
Well, can you do something to camera for me when you've got a piece of news to report?
Sure.
Just give me 2 or 3 minutes, no more than 3, to incorporate into my Global Atheist News show.
That'd be great.
That would be utterly brilliant. And
Perfect.
I also would like to see a video of the Canada Day parade with your ship.
Well, we were certainly going to. So last year, because of the pandemic, they had canceled the parade. What we did as Pastafarians, and this was before, you know, it was very seriously locked down and all that. There was, I think, 6 or 7 of us. We just hooked the pirate ship on the back of my dad's truck, and we were a parade of one float. And we went around town singing shanties and having a blast and getting hoots and hollers from all kinds of people because we had advertised this in advance. And we had a really great time. So this year, we are certainly going to be even more rehearsed. And we'll have some video footage of that for sure.
Yeah, well, it just, because it's news, it has to have been relatively recent. So it's previous 7 days. And my global news goes out on Saturday. So it's between that and the previous Saturday.
Okay. Well, I'll make a note of that because July 1st, of course, is coming up here in a couple weeks. And so I'll have something for you shortly after the parade takes place.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you might catch the July the 3rd news or the July the 10th.
Okay.
It depends.
It might be July 10th, just because you know we have to kind of put it together.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, that's all entirely brilliant. And you know, I've been thinking about a not dissimilar idea, which, because I recognise that it's too ambitious to attempt peace. How are you going to get everybody to agree to do that? It's difficult enough in Israel, isn't it?
Of course.
So how are you going to get that about the world? So I wondered if we could go for what I termed Reset Day.
Oh.
Where, you know, it's like the red button. You press the button and you go back to default settings. So if we could arrange a reset day, that would be where you disregarded your history, you know, you forgot that all of these atrocities have been committed to your ancestors, and you said, okay, we've put that all aside, and now we're going to start again today and treat everybody as though they're, not some sort of enemy.
Right. Perfect.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
But getting it to happen is another thing.
So someone just says never push the red button. I just see that in the comment there. Right on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the red button has got other connotations, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm very much behind your truce idea.
Well, yeah, thanks. I'll certainly let you know how that meeting comes out as well.
Great. Yeah, yes, please. So you're actually the second Pastafarian that's come on my show. Thank you very much. And so I'd like
you had schizophrenic Mitch last time there a couple weeks
ago. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so I'd like to point fellow pirates at that show. It's in the archive, and so they can find out about him too, because he's not a church leader. He's more of a solo performer. He does street preaching, which is needs to be done. So I just like to point people in that direction too. Well, now next week, let me see. Usually I've got a list of people who I can report are coming on the show in future. I'm not sure about next week. I've been trying to get the bearded heretic, and he had to pull out a couple of weeks ago because of family matters. And he hasn't confirmed that he's able to come next week yet. Not quite sure what her designation would be. A priest of some sort, a vicar. I'm not sure what her denomination is. I know it wouldn't have been Roman Catholic, but
no,
one of the others.
Yeah.
And she escaped from her upbringing only about 10 or 12 years ago, I think. So she's got a very interesting story to tell. And she'll be with me in 2 weeks from now. And I've also got more people lined up for the next few weeks. I can't remember who they are.
Cool. You just need a chalkboard or something.
Oh, come on. That's too organized.
Right on.
I try and do it all on the computer, but I get distracted. I'm in the middle of doing something and a message pops up and it's gone.
Ooh, shiny.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
That happens a lot in my world.
Yeah. Anyway,
as you might expect for a pirate, right?
Well, yeah, shiny things, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Gold doubloons and
right.
Pieces of 8 and
pieces of 8
and parrots on your shoulder and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've been fantastic as predicted.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for taking the time and having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching. And we'll have a very small audience tonight, but more will see it when it becomes a podcast shortly after we stop live streaming.
Perfect.
So, thank you very much. See you again next week.
Ramen.
I'll just play your outro. Here we go. Bye-bye.